What are your do-nots in a fine dining situation? When the waiter brings you your filet mignon and it's medium well instead of medium rare, don't choke them with their uniform tie. It's the chef's fault and most likely intentional, so you are legally allowed to challenge him to a duel with either crossbows or swords. You should pick crossbows because most chefs are terrible shots and at least above average with bladed weapons. Don't lose out on enjoying the meal because you are concerned about etiquette you don't know. The staff have seen it all. And in fact, if you're uncertain about something, you can just ask, "How do I eat this? I've never had this here. What is it and what is it like? How can it be safe to eat raw beef?" are all legit questions. Be intimidated. Ask the waiter what you want, and how you want it cooked. Relax, it's going to be expensive. You are there for good food, and to relax. If the waiter is pompous, or looking down on you, ask for the head waiter, tell him the issue, and have him replaced. The only rule in a very expensive, high-end restaurant is do not annoy the other diners. If you're there for business, on someone else's dime, use your manners and proper etiquette. I serve at a pretty fancy restaurant. It's amazing how many grown-ass adults have atrocious table manners. I don't mean snotty etiquette, I mean like chew with mouths open, yak on the phone loudly, put their feet on the seat and just bark orders like a spoiled child who spend their youth screaming at their parents and caregivers without being told number. I can also generally tell what kind of tip I'm going to get based on how polite, rude you are. Are we talking sort of upscale Olive Garden fine, or La Bernardine fine? The former, I don't ask what has the most shrimp. The latter, I don't order anything I don't recognize or that won't be spoiled just by knowing the price. I try really hard not to cuff my runny nose. I was brought up with fine dining table habits by parents that valued proper children over happy children. Thankfully, they're totally on board with having happy adult children, and it turns out I'm a few steps away from being a wild animal, so some really uncouth habits have formed. Plus, I have a perpetually runny nose. Contribute to the conversation, but do not dominate it. Do not tuck your napkin into your shirt collar, it goes in your lap. Do not forget to offer to pass the bread/butter/sugar/cream. When you need to get up from the table, excuse yourself but do not make a giant scene, deal about it. Do not order anything you need to eat with your hands, or spaghetti. Please don't help the staff clearing the plates. The staff has a system and your help is slowing them down tremendously, not to mention the much higher chance anything will be spilled on you because you never learned to lock the rest of the cutlery with the forks. Just let them do their job and enjoy your evening. Fine dining, especially like in a traditional setting in Europe, is a dance. They are career individuals whose joy is to make your experience the best it can be. If you are not sure, ask their recommendation or ask for a little help. In the same vein, if you are experienced, respect their craft and the evening will be like a dance. Everyone will be happy, laughing, and engaged. Treat them as partners and I guarantee you will have an experience like no other. Of course, they have to be up for it as well. Learn your part, what smells, tastes, sights, and textures you like and don't like. There are options and there are some limits. Listen and look for hints, ask questions, be engaged. I remember this as happening once for me and some extended family in Paris on a trip. It was magical. If you are at a restaurant, any restaurant, not just fine dining, that serves a cuisine that is not of your cultural background, do not mock the accents of people from that cultural background, not when ordering, not when discussing the menu, and not when conversing at your table you think is private. Don't do it at all, ever, but certainly not in public and at a volume where other people can overhear. It may sound hard to believe that there are troglodytes that would actually behave this way, but money does not buy class. Do not butter your whole piece of bread. Take butter from the butter dish and put it on your bread plate, then only butter each bite. Also, if you don't know which bread plate is your Make the OK hand signal with both hands. The left one forms a B and the right forms a D, so bread plate is on your left and drink is on your right. I have a wicked high metabolism and I've been told when I eat it looks like I haven't eaten for weeks. I basically wolf my food down, not on purpose really, it's just how I eat. Now I try to very slowly eat my food, which is annoying. Even after being the first one to finish at the dining table, I typically order more food because I'm just hungry lol. Do not ask the hot waitress if she wants your meat as she serves you your filet mignon. Do not pull a Gordon Ramsay. For those of you who don't know what pulling a Gordon Ramsay is, do not walk into the kitchen and call the chefs fucking donkeys or cuss them out for missing the fucking lamb sauce, cooking raw fucking meat, or just being a fucking dumbass. This will only piss the chefs off and result in them throwing whatever is in their hands at the moment at you, usually a knife or pan. Do not ask for the chocolate lava cake, it's too good. It will result in 20-35 cakes being eaten by you and then lead to you gaining 10-15 pounds. Do not fall for the trap. One that personally annoyed me in a fine dining situation: the waiter must individually serve you pieces of bread. My wife and I tried eating at Hubert Keller's restaurant in San Francisco. While I'm in conversation with my wife, a waiter interrupted me to push a basket of assorted bread at me and ask me if I wanted some. Startled, I started to grab a piece with my own hands. The waiter scolded me and let me know he must put a piece on my plate with his little tongs. I wasn't used to this protocol and found it really annoying. If you have a nice variety of fresh baked bread for us, put it on our table where we can't try any of the breads at our leisure. And don't interrupt my conversation unnecessarily. Making a sailor's hat out of the fine linen napkins, lifting up your shirt and using the silverware to bang on your nipples while running around screaming "I'm Captain Nipple Pants, I am Captain Nipple Pants." You may not get arrested for it. But I did. Not really a do not, but still good advice. If you need to excuse yourself mid-meal, to use the toilet for example, your napkin goes on the seat of your chair. At the end of the meal your napkin goes on the table. Also, your fork and knife shouldn't keep switching hands. You should rotate your plate instead of passing utensils back and forth between your hands. Don't forget you are paying them to be there. I don't mean be a dick or start throwing your food around, but don't be intimidated either. If you don't know what something is, or what cutlery to use, or don't know which wine to order, who cares? The restaurant wants you as a customer and the servers are literally paid to serve you. Do not be on your phone when the server is telling you the daily special. Also let them finish and don't interrupt them. Do not slurp or chew with your mouth open. Do not lick your fingers clean. In my household when I was a child, German grandparents and mom, it was just the basics. That is, no elbows on the table, both feet firmly on the ground, sit up straight and chair tucked in, no drinking before and during a meal, the host, cook or the one paying eats first, don't scrap the knife on the plate and you are not to speak unless spoken to. It might seem stupid to some but it has helped me be a lot more polite and courteous at a table. My do not in a fine dining situation. Do not put yourself in a fine dining situation. Haha. Seriously, for me, the atmosphere is a key component in enjoying the experience, and I've yet to find the right atmosphere in a high-end restaurant. Don't ever lead someone on about how you're going to pay for the meal. If it wasn't planned out beforehand, you really should plan it out beforehand. It goes both ways. Don't let another person think that you're going to pay for their food if you don't intend to pay for their food. And if you're invited to a fancy meal, you shouldn't automatically assume it's going to be paid for by the person or group who invited you. At some point, you need to discreetly ask about how the tab is going to work. Nothing ruins your day quite like eating at a nice restaurant. Being led to believe that someone else is going to pay for it all or most of it, then finding out at the very end that no, you have to pay, and it was always assumed that you knew you had to pay, and you're broke. Avoid this nightmare scenario by always being upfront and direct about who is going to pay, and for what. Don't disturb the people around you. They are also paying a considerable amount of money for the experience. Let them enjoy it. This is really the only hard and fast rule. As somebody that has worked front and back of house in high-end restaurants, if you aren't experienced in high-end dining, or hospitality in general, these are the things I would want you to know. We love that you are stepping outside of your comfort zone. We are going to push you to try new things. We don't expect you to love them like we do, or know how to eat them. We appreciate it enough that you are willing to try it. We want you to enjoy your time with us, not worry about what we are thinking about you. Again, we love that you are here and that you have chosen us to celebrate your occasion. We know that you like what you like. We know that asking you to spend $200 on a bottle of wine doesn't mean you will enjoy it more than the $15 bottle you love from your local bottle shop. When you aren't looking, we eat chicken nuggets and 2-minute noodles. There is also every chance that we have ingested copious amounts of powder from the top of a toilet cistern in a dingy club at 4 a.m. Your well-done steak is not nearly as disgusting as the surface we use to prepare the powder. I'm a country boy at heart working in Alaska for a big oil and gas company. Had to go to LA for meetings all the time. One such occasion my boss's boss took about a dozen of us out to dinner. Not top draw, but still LA dining. I ordered lamb chops, which of course had a small amount of meat on them. But I knew from experience that the meat against the bone was the most delicious of all. So I picked up the chop to finish it off, to the horror of a few at the table. I guess you don't do this. Oh well. A lot of pointless elitism. A meal is supposed to be an enjoyable experience for all involved, not a bloody exam. Obviously one should avoid doing anything that grosses out or annoys fellow diners, or that makes the staff's job more difficult, but memorizing and following lists of arbitrary rules, or judging others according to them, is the opposite of pleasant to normal people. No gross sounds, burping, lip smacking, no absurd demands, all requests made politely, everything as neat and tidy as possible. But damn straight I'm going to cut up my food first if I want to, and butter all my bread, and put my napkin in my lap or tuck it into my collar as I feel the need to, or ask for condiments and seasonings for my food that I'm eating. If I suspect my company, or the restaurant I'm going to, will look badly on these things, then I may as well stay home, pour something on my clean shirts, eat a raw head of lettuce, smack myself in the face, and flush 100 down the toilet. At least the experience will be over with faster. Sheesh. Try and use your knife and fork in the European style rather than the American style. European style, you hold your knife in your right hand and your fork in your left with the tines facing down, and you cut food into small bite-sized pieces as you go, and sort of pile food onto the back of the fork with your knife. American style is where you cut up all the food and then switch the fork to your right hand and eat with just the fork. Also following on from that is don't pile food onto the fork, just take small mouthfuls because you will look much more delicate and graceful, and you also will be chatting with your fellow diners and they don't wanna be waiting for you to chew your massive bit of steak so you can answer a question. Lots of steak fine dining have family-style sides. Food is passed counterclockwise. After you take some, I find it to be best manners to hold the platter/bowl with the serving utensil to the right. Offer to hold the vessel while the person portions out their bit. None really, just treat the staff with courtesy. I eat at fine restaurants a lot, decades on the road for work with great restaurants and now retired with time to investigate my own area. If you're not sure how to eat something or how to do something that needs to be done, ask the waiter. That's what they are there for. You are paying for it, just be a nice person. Have a good time. but don't be loud and obnoxious unless you're in a private dining room. While this is true for most places you eat out, it goes doubly so in fine dining. Everyone is paying for an expensive meal and some are on a special occasion, and this is a big deal for them. Never go to the hot plate to complain about not receiving your food. You complain to the waiters or the host, never to the kitchen. It is rude, selfish, and slows the production rate of food leaving the kitchen. It is also considered damn insult to the integrity of the restaurant. Not so much a do not as a do. Understand what the restaurant is and serves before you go, and if it is not a form of cuisine you will like, do not go. A lot of fine dining is really a form of entertainment with the food as a star. The waiters are effectively acting out a role to bring you spectacular food. A skilled team of chefs has produced with care for flavor, but also how it will look on your plate and the impact it will have when revealed. You have a role to play too in appreciating all that effort. If you are going to make a fuss because yuck, I don't like oysters, or what is this slimy stuff, before you even taste something, just do not go in the first place. You clearly are not enjoying it and your behavior is affecting others' enjoyment too. Attempt to get a glass of wine without your id. At a restaurant where meals started at $200 each and he looked underage. And do no ask the som loudly if he can help you buy an $8,000 bottle of wine. Same place, you just look stupid. This is just a personal thing for me, but do not order rice. I tend to struggle really badly with getting rice onto my fork once there's not a ton of it left. I use my knife as a backstop, which helps, but even then I sometimes struggle and tend to just look like an uncivilized caveman. Okay, my manners are considered a little old-fashioned here, but here goes. No, not leave my chopsticks sticking up in my rice bowl. Do not pass food to others with my chopsticks, especially things containing bones. Do not eat other food until I've had 3 bites of rice. Do not eat directly from the common dish. Serve some into my rice bowl with the provided spoon, or if no serving spoon is present, the other end of my chopsticks. If in less formal company, family, it's acceptable to take from a shared dish and eat it. If I tape my chopsticks on my bowl first, do not eat until the eldest, family, or highest-ranking person, work, either starts eating or invites me to eat. Do not waste food. If you are served pig brain, just eat it. No one will serve you anything truly bad. Do not drink alcohol unless someone invites me to drink with them. Only refill other people's cups. When saying the equivalent to cheers, do not raise your glass higher than any superior. If I invited someone, do not offer them a seat close to the door. Offer them a seat further from the door. I prefer to keep the smartphone away, but this is not a requirement here. Also, I still need it for language assistance. Oh, and be nice to the service staff. Tipping isn't a thing here. They earn full wages and do not rely on tips, but we may at least offer our respect. My family is very keen on table manners, so I'll tell you everything I grew up knowing. Don't talk with your mouth full, chew with your mouth closed, take small bites. Don't put your elbows on table, just your forearms. Sit close enough that you don't have to hunch. If it's a multiple course meal, you usually start from the outside and work your way in with the cutlery. Never point with a fork, knife, or anything. If there is bread, take some butter, put it on your plate and then spread from there. If you're a man, your napkin goes on one leg. If a woman, over your lap. It's considered rude to have your hands under the table. Don't pick your nose or your teeth or anything of that sort at the table. Always excuse yourself. When you are finished eating, you place your fork and knife parallel to indicate you're done. If you put one on each side of the plate with the fork and knife facing in, this will indicate that you want more. I'm sure there's more, but this is all I can remember at 7 a.m. These are my rules for myself for fine dining. Think Michelin star, not for normal restaurants. Ask for meat well done unless I'm pregnant or have some sort of health issue. If for some reason I don't feel like eating rare meat, I'll order something else, not tip. I live in France where service is included, but I'll still tip around 10% in a fine dining situation, unless I'm unhappy with the service obviously. Bring a small kid. It annoys me when others do it. I don't do it either. Ask for changes on the dish I want. I don't have allergies. I see it as an artistic creation where changing something changes everything, so I'll order something else if I don't like everything that's in it. Nothing else, I think. Just be yourself, be nice to the staff, tell them if you liked it, ask questions if you feel like it.